More disturbing details are coming out in regards to that horrific accident involving actor Alec Baldwin on the set of his new film called Rust. A search warrant has now revealed the heartbreaking final moments of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, as well as safety issues that caused union members to walk off set prior to all of this happening. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know right here on I.O. Director Joel Souza is now saying that Alec Baldwin was reportedly practicing removing his prop revolver from his holster and aiming it towards the camera during rehearsals for the movie Rust, when suddenly he heard what sounded like a whip and then a loud pop. According to the LA Times, who got their hands on newly released documents, Joel said that the prop was cleared as being cold, which meant that it did not have any live rounds in it. However, as we all know, that wasn't the case, and when it discharged, it struck Halyna Hutchins in the chest and hit Souza on his right shoulder. Hutchins was later pronounced dead at the Albuquerque hospital, and this tragedy took place after 6 members of the film's crew had already walked off the set, citing to production that there were issues regarding safety, payment, and housing. According to a text that was obtained by the media, one of the union members who walked off the set of the Baldwin-produced movie said, "The entire camera crew walked off that morning for that exact reason. Last night we each wrote resignation letters. We cited everything from lack of payment for 3 weeks, taking our hotels away despite asking for them in our deals, lack of COVID safety, and on top of that, poor weapon safety, poor on-set safety, period. We wrote about this exact issue last night and walked this morning because of it. That's not in any of the papers. They brought in 4 non-union guys to replace us and tried calling the cops on us. Only people that stayed were Halyna, the DP, and Reed, the B steady op. She had a kid, man, I can't believe it." And that day they actually ended up having to start late because the production had to scramble to find a replacement camera crew, and according to Joel Souza, they ended up only being able to work with 1 camera. According to the search warrant, aside from Alec Baldwin, 2 other people had handled the prop revolver for that scene, which included armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed and then assistant director Dave Halls, who was the one to hand Baldwin the prop. Due to the COVID-19 protocols, the armorer had to set up 3 prop revolvers on a cart outside of the Bonanza Creek Ranch's church set. However, when Dave grabbed one of them, he claims to have not realized that there were any live rounds in the one that he had handed to Baldwin. Joel Souza also told the detectives that the cast and crew had taken a break for lunch, and when they returned for filming, he wasn't sure if the props had been checked again. The affidavit goes on to say, Joel said as far as he knows, no one gets checked for live ammunition on their person prior and after the scenes are being filmed. The only thing checked are the firearms to avoid live ammunition being in them. Joel stated that there should never be live rounds whatsoever near or around the scene. When they came back from their lunch, the cameras had to move again to a new angle because of shadows, and as Baldwin was explaining how he would be drawing the revolver, the prop just discharged. At the time, Joel was looking over Halyna's shoulder, and when the prop discharged, he saw Hutchins grab her midsection and then stumble backwards. She could be overheard saying that she couldn't feel her legs as people around her helped assist her to the ground. The worst part is that this isn't even the first time that the assistant director Dave Halls has had issues with safety on set. Back in 2019, he was apparently fired from the film called Freedom's Path after a crew member had a minor injury with a prop that had also unexpectedly discharged. According to some people who work in this industry, Halls has become known as the guy that you call when other people walk off citing safety issues. Director Courtney Hope Theronde said that on the film The Pale Door, when she was let go from that job, they brought Dave in to replace her. She goes on to tell the press, "That's when they brought in Dave because he had a reputation for being lax on safety. Apparently when the first AD walks off a project, Dave is known as the guy you call." At this point in time, the Santa Fe County authorities are still working to determine what kind of projectile took the life of Halyna Hutchins. Their spokesperson Juan Rio said on Monday that hopefully a ballistics and forensics team will be able to help them determine this, adding, "The sheriff's office is looking at this case in a much greater scope as opposed to just the shooting that occurred on set and the loss of life. The investigators along with the sheriff's office are looking at everything that should have been followed from safety standards on down." It's starting to look like this was a perfect storm though for something to go wrong. You had crew members walking off the job, then add in the non-union crew members who just lacked experience, and top it off with an assistant director known for avoiding safety measures. Something bad was guaranteed to happen, and hopefully for the sake of Halyna Hutchins' family, they can get more answers as to who bears the most responsibility here. We can point fingers right now, but the right thing to do would be to wait for the police to finish their investigation. As always though, we would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Don't forget to drop us a comment down below. But for now, I've been your host Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy YouTube, or at least try.